Hey guys, welcome back to Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys coming by the channel and hanging with me a little bit. Always very grateful to have you guys around here. We are going to be talking about why you need to be a jig and a spinnerbait fisherman instead of a cokie and a jig head minnow fisherman. And this is not the surface as it seems. I'm going to dig into this deeper. There's a lot of layers to this, a lot of ins and outs, and when I get done with this video, hopefully a lot of you guys will understand what I'm talking about this. So we're going to get into that. Definitely looking forward to hearing you guys' comments on it. I'm also, guys, before we get started, a couple different things here. Thank you very much, guys, for everybody that's taken time to subscribe here to Intuitive Angling. Really appreciate that, man. Free and easy to do so. If you guys like the content, subscribing is a good way to help. Like the videos, comment on the videos, and especially hype those videos, that little hype button. And also, guys, thank you very much for everybody that's been taking time to order your fishing gear through my tackle warehouse link in the description of this video. All you guys, if you're getting something out of the channel and you like to give back to it, that is the best way to help the channel. So thank you very much for people that have done that. I get messages all the time, guys, saying, hey Randy, I used your link to buy a rod and reel or whatever. Me and my family appreciate that. Okay, guys, here's what I'm talking about. Why you want to be a jig and a spinnerbait fisherman and not a cokie and a jig head minnow fisherman. It doesn't have anything to do with the lures, because lures are just that, they're lures. What it has to do with the bigger picture about what they represent. What a cokie and a jig head minnow represents versus what a jig and a spinnerbait represents. And that is, it goes back to this foundational principle that I've been really talking about a lot lately, about fishing to find fish and how important that is in the sport of bass fishing. Because once you lose that basic concept of fishing to find the fish and fishing to locate the fish, then you've diminished the sport. And unfortunately, the cokie and the jig head minnow fishing has sort of had, well, not sort of, it does have a very close association with using it with forward-facing sonar. That's primarily the, well, 99% of it, that's what it is, you know. People use jig head minnows and cokies for forward-facing sonar fishing. So when you're talking about something that has been relegated to that, then you're leaving out that whole aspect about fishing to find fish. Now, this is, when I do videos like this, you start to get a little bit into the aesthetic and the abstract, and that's what fishing is. Because one of the things that people like myself do, and one of the sort of the missions I have on this channel, is I don't want people to lose sight of what fishing is and how special and how precious fishing is. And what happened is, when you have this invasion of technology that we've had, especially over the past 2 or 3 years, it removes you from the very foundations of what fishing are. Fishing is a pure sport. It's a pure sport. It's a sport that has no place for technology. Same with hunting. Now, there's other aspects of our life, like medicine and stuff like that, where technology and technological advancements are wonderful. Fishing is not one of them. Bass fishing and technology do not have anything in common whatsoever. And the only reason that we have it, guys, is because of money. Make no mistake about it. The only reason that we've allowed technology to intrude in fishing is because the electronic companies have probably more money than about any other companies within the fishing endemic side to put in the sport and influence tournament organizations, tournament directors that enable that. So this has been like a vicious cycle. People say that, oh, Randy, you know, this is just change, and you can't stop growth, and you can't, you know, slow stuff down. This ain't what that means, guys. Don't fall for the bullshit. The only reason we're dealing with this stuff right now is because the tournament organizations and the fish and game managers have allowed it to happen. It's not that this is not some inevitability that we have in the sport of fishing. If the tournament organizations would have done the right thing at the very moment that you're fishing, that this started, and say, guys, this is not fishing. This takes away the mystery and the magic and the unknown from fishing. It creates an unlevel playing field. It's not fair chase. It doesn't have any part to do whatsoever in tournament organizations. And if the conservation departments around the country would have the foresight, instead of being inept like a lot of them are, and say, we can see what this can of worms is fixing to open, and this does not have any place in sport fishing. We're not going to allow it. We're going to, you know, passed legislation where using forward-facing sonar is illegal in our lakes across the country. We haven't had people in positions of power that have the foresight or the integrity to do that. So therefore, you can see the mess we're in right now. This mess has undermined the sport. It's caused a tremendous amount of chaos and division in the sport. It's harmed tremendously the fishing tackle manufacturers as far as the profits from their other products lines. It's created income disparity. It's created an unlevel playing field. It's taken away so much from the intrinsic value of the sport that, it's just, it's so obvious for anybody that pays attention to that. Okay, now one of the reasons that you should be a jig and a spinnerbait fisherman and not a cokie and a jig head minnow fisherman is this. When you're talking about using a jig and a spinnerbait, you're talking about true art forms in bass fishing. And these art forms that I talk about come from the nuances of fishing, and it comes from understanding seasonal movements and patterns, and it comes with the art form of being able to put that spinnerbait and that jig exactly where you need to put it. It's like when you slow roll that spinnerbait down the side of that log, if you don't do it at the right angle, at the right depth, at the exact right distance away from the log, and you don't use the exact type of retrieve to generate that strike, and you don't approach that piece of cover, that log, right with your boat and everything else that goes with it, you're not going to catch a fish. It's an art form to throw that bait around that lay down tree. And the same with flipping a jig. It's like when you flip a jig into a flooded bush or a tree out there, you have to dissect that piece of cover even before you get it into there. You have to analyze the current, the wind speed, the wind direction, the water visibility, the water temperature, the complexity within that piece of cover, the bank angle, and then you have to approach it with the right angle with your boat and your trolling motor. It's an art form to do that, and then you have to put that bait where you want it quietly. All of this is the epitome of bass fishing. It's stalking, it's hunting the bass. And when you relegate it to basically staring down at the screen and throwing out a cokie or jig head minnow, and a lot of times not even looking where you're casting at, that's an insult to the fish. It's an insult to the sport. It's an insult to everybody that came before the sport. So the main thing about it, guys, is be a jig and a spinnerbait fisherman. And I use this as like in a generic sense. When I'm talking about jig and spinnerbait, I'm talking about baits that require skill and art form and talent. Don't be a cokie and a jig head minnow fisherman, because that's not serving you well. It's not serving the sport well. It's an insult to the sport. It's an insult to the fish. So anyway, guys, let me know what you think about it. Appreciate you tuning in. We'll talk later.